Welcome. Today
Hi there.
I have a guest with me, Haley Gray. And Haley and I have been working on lots and lots of productivity hacks and marketing hacks over the last 18 months. And we thought that we might brainstorm today and see what things we can share that might help our audience. Welcome, Haley. Tell me about yourself.
Hey, everybody. I am Haley Gray, and I am the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network on Facebook. I am a digital marketing strategist, and I really honestly love helping business owners make more money and do it in a way that's easy, no bullshit, real, um, and finding ways to scale their marketing that doesn't involve wanting to pull their hair out without making crazy promises.
Thank you. And for those who don't know me, my name's Karen McDonald. I am a technologist, an accountant by profession. I am founder of Wiseout Legal Practice Management Software for law firms. And in the two businesses I run, I like to try and help people automate, focus on what they do best, and improve their bottom line. So welcome to today's session. So the first thing we're going to talk about is some atomic habits. And I've recently been on a bit of a bandwagon about the theme of two. And it started as a little bit of a joke and a little bit of a productivity hack for me personally. And it's become a fair bit bigger, which has been a lot of fun along the way. And it's helped me in my business, and it's helped me with some of the coaching I'm doing with clients as well. Haley's been quite fascinated by it as well.
Absolutely. It's been interesting because I remember you mentioning to me that you were doing that this summer because things had gotten really hectic. And, with you running a full-time, full-service accounting practice and working on trust accounting and working on all these things, and then working on Wiseout legal software, people management and all of the things, sales calls, business development, following up on stuff, switching CRMs, let's not understate just how much Karen does like on a weekly basis. Um, you know, Things get really overwhelming and really hectic at times for all of us. And one of the things that I have had to learn over the last few years, and I think, Karen too, is this idea that you don't make these massive improvements necessarily all at once. And if you try to change absolutely everything about your diet, your work-life balance, your working habits, your schedule, and do it all at once, you inevitably fail. So Karen came up with this amazingly like genius idea this summer of doing things in twos, which I thought was quite brilliant, really, where instead of focusing on climbing the entire mountain or eating the entire elephant at once, um, it's breaking stuff down. So why don't you tell people what your thoughts were and like how you came to it, and then exactly what your system of twos is?
My twos. The original concept was there was a number of things I needed to be doing better on a daily basis. So the first couple were 2 walks or 2 small exercise sessions, 2 sales calls, get 2 bills out, do 2 new things, only drink 2 wine. And it sort of started out as a little bit of a joke, part serious, part joke. And then Haley started sending me pictures of twos. And Haley was clever enough to put a 2 in front of a waterfall. Which really got my attention because if anybody knows me, world gets crazy. What does Karen do for time out? It's go and find a waterfall. What's Karen doing on the upcoming holiday? Going and finding waterfalls. So a 2 and a waterfall really caught my attention. And for a little while, I was tracking the 2s on a daily basis, which was quite interesting. And, if I'd slip up and not get 2 bills out today, then I might do 4 bills tomorrow. And it just broke things down into a much more manageable portion.
Yeah.
And this was particularly interesting because this was on the coming out of 3 or 4 months where I'd felt I was drowning. And that feeling was very real. My 2IC was on maternity leave and we're really excited for her. But with the staffing and the staff changes and the people who were supposed to backfill her not staying, I really was quite drowning. But what was really interesting was once I stopped verbalizing that I was drowning, I was able to get out of it. While I kept verbalizing it, it was my enemy. And I think the twos came around the time where I stopped owning the drowning bit. And okay, I'm going to do 2, just 2. And it really has been empowering and life-changing. So it's quite interesting how mindset is everything. And I've been one to say forever that mindset is everything. And every time I come back, do a full circle and come back to mindset is everything, when I have my mind open to the next thing, it comes.
Right.
And it really is quite fascinating.
Fascinating how that mindset works, right? When you get out of overwhelm and drown and change your approach to it, everything else changes. But it was that like fun, almost that like gamification of life for you. And I do some of the same, like, can I get to 120 grams of protein today? And can I get to this? Can I get that? All of that. It's just fascinating to see how you went very quickly. It was like a night and day shift from, oh my God, I'm drowning, to, oh, I've got this, twos. And I kept sending you pictures of twos and owls and waterfalls. And it was so much fun to kind of see that like shift in just the mindset and the productivity. And suddenly you went from like, wow, this is crazy, to, oh, okay, this is really manageable.
It's all up here in the mind. Our biggest asset and our biggest challenge.
Isn't it though?
Yeah. And, one of the things I've said forever is what you measure, you can manage. And the
Absolutely.
twos are just another incremental measurement.
Well, and what I thought was so genius about it is that it's just 2, right? I can send out 2 bills. I can do 2 of these. I can do just this, I can do these little things and I don't have to worry about dredging the ocean. And I love that for productivity and getting more stuff done, because what I see with most business owners, and I mean, I see it with myself too. So, I mean, I'm not generalizing here. I very much speak for myself, is we have so much stuff to do that sometimes it seems overwhelming to get anything done because we're just like drowning in all the stuff and all the demands and all the requests and all the things we need to do, whether it's business development or responding to customer calls or life or kids, or this week I'm puppy sitting or whatever. It's just, okay, so how do I take one baby step at a time? And that 2s that you set up was just those baby steps that were so necessary to make that huge shift. It was really cool to see.
Thank you. It was cool to see for me too. I was getting somewhere.
Well, and I think it speaks to that, importance of creating a system that works for you. You were talking about how you get onto a sales call, to when you're doing a demo for Wiseowl legal software. And it's not about showing them every single feature that you have in the software, but figuring out what they do with it and how they do what they do in their practice, right? Before, determining what you're going to even show them. And I mean, and I think that speaks back to the atomic habits.
When I'm speaking with someone for the first time, or I haven't spoken to them for a while, I want them to tell me what matters to them in their practice. I want to hear what's working for them. I want to hear what they want to fix. Because there's no point me coming in if they've got their trust account all singing and dancing and focusing on the trust account where it's the billing part of the business that's causing them pain. because there's no point in fixing what's not broken.
Yeah. No, if you're trying to fix things that are not broken, it's kind of asinine. Or change
Mm.
things just for the sake of changing them. That kind of doesn't make any sense
If it
whatsoever,
ain't broke, don't fix it.
right? And yet I see so many people who start trying to change stuff with kind of like wishful thinking of, oh, well, it's not really broken, but I want to try to do something better. Squirrel, shiny object. And yeah, they squirrel off into the sunset. And then, you've lost sight of your whatever habits you were trying to instill, right? Or whatever operations you had that were working. You just lost it.
One of the interesting things I see with law firms is, particularly in the smaller ones, they want to copy what the person down the road's doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that can be a compliment. It can
Mm-hmm.
also be a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of value to unpacking what's behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a lot of people have a fear of technology, particularly in the legal
Right.
space. Yes, a lot of people acknowledge that change takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no two businesses are the same,
Mm-mm.
even if they're in the same suburb. So to me, taking
Yeah.
20 minutes to unpack what matters to each business owner separately from the one before is
100%.
really, really important, because there's no point in me having a preset prescriptive script and trying to apply that to every law firm, because it's never going to work. I was speaking to a lady earlier this week, and she does a very bespoke way of doing business. She has a practice where she deals with disabilities. And my first question to her is, how do you make money? And
Right.
because I could see there was a lot of pro bono work in her practice. And I said, how do you make money? How do you make your business profitable? And she was actually quite complimented that I could actually, early in the conversation, want to make sure that she was looking after herself.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our competitors had gone, oh, we've got one document that's going to fit what you do. And I'd actually asked her enough questions to go, well, if you're going to be working in this court, we've got these forms. If there's any missing, let us know and we'll add them in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have some bespoke documents. Part of our setup is we make sure that your top 20 documents, we configure and set up the custom fields so that you can automate them. And she was so excited that we were taking her documents and putting them into our software and still maintaining her IP, maintaining that confidentiality. They were hers, they only went in her database, and that made her really excited, because we could
Mm-hmm.
actually see what worked for her that was common amongst all law firms, and then what worked for her that was unique to her setup. And yeah, she was really quite excited.
Yeah. And I think that that's an important thing to say is, look, there is no one size fits all in anything in life or in business. What works for me may not work for you. What forms I use in my business, how I may choose to automate something, how I may choose to build something that works for me is not going to work for the next person. And I see this all the time, like with clients that I do marketing for. I could take two clients that are an exact head-to-head competitor in the exact same market, and they honestly may have totally different marketing strategies. The owners may have totally different people that they want to go after. In fact, right now I do have two painters that kind of go after similar markets. One of them loves one particular suburb and one of them hates that particular suburb. And does not like working in that suburb, and the other one finds it just fine. The waters are great here. The other one's like, no, keep me out of that one. Hey. But on the surface, they provide two very, very similar services. But the personality of the owner, the way that they do presentations, the way that they do quotes. There's just like all these myriad little teeny tiny differences that are real in business and you just can't ignore them. Like in life, just like, two people going to, one goes to the Presbyterian church and one goes to the Episcopal church. They're very similar, but they're not the exact same thing. And everybody's going to have their reasons for choosing one or the other, and preferring one or the other, in for the most arcane of reasons. And so I've just learned in business, in life, everybody has their own distinct fingerprint and their own distinct personalities and what they do and how they do it.
So
So
true.
like,
So true.
like your power of twos, like you would choose to do twos very differently than I would choose to do twos, right? So for me, it would be 2 times a day with my vitamins and limiting to 2 Dr. Peppers. And, I have my own list of twos, just like everybody else is going to have their own set of twos. 2 mango dragon fruits. So yeah, 2 times a day on the vibration plate. It's all the things that are distinct to my life that are very different from yours.
And we're all different. And that's really important for us to respect and remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love it. It is so amazing. And I mean, that's part of being successful in business is finding what works for you, doing the things that work for you in the way that it works for you to do them, finding the structure and the platform, as it were, because everybody's personality is different. Everybody's, Myers-Briggs is a little different. If you were to like combine your sacred money archetype with your Myers-Briggs, with your disc profile, with this, with that, with the other, you're going to find really quickly that you have very distinct preferences. So putting all of that together, I think is important. And really figuring out like, hey, who am I? What do I want? And figuring out what habits you need to instill in yourself to get there. What twos you need.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Haley. We might wrap it up here as time has run out.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to the next installment. Thank you. And we'll see you on the flip side.